to get back to this issue of the characterization, the kind of shifting characterization of Tyr/Miria from one, and she's mentioned in two, and then reappears in a larger role in three. This depiction of Tyr/Miria as at first a more malevolent, and then, as you say, a more benevolent goddess figure, I find very fascinating, because to me it offers a more nuanced view of divinity and of gods than most JRPGs tend to. There's this fascinating trend in JRPGs to depict God or gods in very negative terms, and Breath of Fire started to turn that around. By the third game in the series, and then continuing in the fourth game, you have Miria and Fao Lu as these gods who are somewhat justifiable. They have real justifications, and they have complexity as characters, and they're somewhat empathetic, especially Fao Lu. We start to continue with that trend a bit more, and I think that most players find Fao Lu very sympathetic and understandable. As enraged and homicidal as he is, there's a reason for it. We see why he's come to be this way. And
to me, it always felt like Breath of Fire tried to deal with the idea of divinity in the sense of they are gods, but they are still humans for their own races. What I'm trying to mean, they are not above their emotion. They're not about their ideology. They're very pantheon type of characters. They're just like the Olympic god. They're not like the traditional Christianity or Judaism type of almighty god. There's something very different, very something that's very easy to connect with. In the games, we even see that we can destroy them, even though they are gods. That kind of put the whole meaning of God into a question. But I also see from other Capcom games, this is a very thematical subject to them. The idea of God is not the God that we want to believe. It's more like a force. It's more like something or a being that has a certain amount of power. So
I do think that Breath of Fire's depiction of gods is, as you say, more primal, more, in my mind, more in line with the depiction of the Norse gods, who are very human. They're very relatable. They have very distinct personalities, and they're not so distant, as you say, as the Judeo-Christian God or the Abrahamic God. So
I would like to take a moment to say that I'm very happy to announce that Breath of Fire 1 and 2 are now available on the Switch port. And what it means a lot for us as fans, because it's another channel for anyone new who was not familiar with the series to connect with it. The series had 5 successful game with a very poor attempt from Capcom side to try to revive the series with Breath of Fire 6.
I don't know what you're talking about, Lidnot. We don't talk about Breath of Fire 6 in this. Breath of Fire 6 is a mythical future game that may or may not ever arrive, but it has not happened yet. It's not a real thing that we accept as a reality. Okay.
Breath of Fire 6 was supposed to be a new direction for the series.
It was a new direction, all right.
Yeah, as far as the people at Capcom thought that this series could be more successful on the mobile. Kind of remind me the whole fiasco of don't you guys have fun with the Diablo Immortal? Basically what they tried to do was release episodes. Whoever doesn't play a mobile game is not very familiar with this type of progression. I think it was a very bad way to revive the series. I think the attempt was good. I just think they really completely ruined it. The series was disconnected not too long ago. Not all the plot was revolved. Apparently, it did absorb some of its plot sources from Breath of Fire 1 and maybe Breath of Fire 2 and 4. The artwork was not bad, but if Breath of Fire 5 took a completely different direction in art style, then Breath of Fire 6 was a completely new way to look at the series, which didn't fell well with the other fans, me included.
Yeah, it was mostly received as a kind of a poor attempt at segueing into the mobile game world, and it apparently didn't really stand on its own legs in Japan. It was never ported to the West, for better or worse. But
I do want to take a moment and say that now that the game are on Switch, it will be more accessible to probably newer audience. At my workplace, I work in a community center. I have a few children there that have the Switch. Probably none of them ever played the SNES or ever was familiar with the series, and now they did hear about it, and they did download the game, and they did play it. I know a lot of my friends are now considering, because the Switch is an easier port. Even though I don't like the system personally because of petty reasons, I'm really happy that Capcom did brought the game into the Switch. My only issue is I wish they did enable us to get the Game Boy Advance version with it, but that's an issue for another time.
No, I'm very excited that the games were ported to Switch because, as you said, I have friends now, and friends my age who grew up with an SNES but just never had a chance to check out the series because, let's face it, Breath of Fire was not very well known even in its own time. I mean, it took me forever to track down a copy of the game at Blockbuster, in order for me to own it. And the game now has a kind of a cult following, which is really amazing that the series has been essentially defunct for so long, and there's still this very passionate fan base for the game. And Capcom is still doing ports. They're still releasing art books, and I've seen it on Twitter that every time a new port is announced, every time that a new port arrives, as on the Switch, We Desire Breath of Fire, starts popping up again, and I see a pretty good number of people checking out the game, and even the first game, which may not be the most popular game in the series, seemed to be received pretty well on Twitter. I saw nothing but positive feedback about it from new players who were going back and checking it out for the first time.